What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you. Today I'm going to be talking about Joe Hill's Strange Weather. This is a collection of 4 short novels, and like the title of the book, they all do have some strange weather in each story, which is sort of the theme that ties everything together. Like I said, there's 4 short novels. There's Snapshot, Loaded, Aloft, and Rain. If I was going to give them each individual stars, overall I'll give the book 4 stars. I did like it for the most part. Snapshot was my favorite story. I give that one 4 stars. Loaded I give like 3 1/4. Aloft I give like 3.75 if I'm being picky, and same with Rain, about 3.75. But I did like all of them. Some better than others. Like I said, Snapshot was my favorite one. And like I said, they all do have a little bit to do with strange weather. I'm not really going to talk about spoilers at all, but the first story has the first story, Snapshot, has weird storms like lightning storms, and ends up a bunch of dead birds fall from the sky. The second story, Loaded, there's a big large forest fire where like hundreds of acres are burning, and towards the end of the story, this doesn't really affect the story at all. It's just something that happens. There's a tornado made of fire. The third book, Aloft, there's this strange mist on the cloud where the story takes place. And the last book, or the last story, Rain, it's raining needles and nails from the sky. So that's sort of the theme of the book. Strange weather takes place in all of them. But I'm going to give a brief, really quick summary of each story. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything. Anything I talk about is going to be, on the inside flap of the book. But the first story, Snapshot, centers around the character Michael. He's a teenager, and his former babysitter is an elderly lady. She's like 70 or 80 years old, and he finds her wandering in the street. She seems like she doesn't know what's going on. She's lost. She thinks she's coming to babysit him, but she hasn't babysat him in years. She's like all bundled up in like a trench coat and stuff, and she tells Michael that not to let the Polaroid man take his picture. And that's sort of how the story kicks off. And it is a fine line between if the neighbor's name, her name is Shelley Bukes, the old babysitter, and it sort of talks about dementia and how that affects people. But also this Polaroid man, the Phoenician, has this weird camera that Michael encounters, and when it takes pictures of people, it actually stills their memories. So it's sort of the fine line between, does she actually have dementia, or has the Polaroid man, the Phoenician, been taking her picture and erasing her memories away? But that was my favorite story in the book. I really liked that one the most out of all of them. I love the ending to it, and the whole setup with the Phoenician and the camera and everything was really cool. I like that one. The second story was Loaded. It sort of centers around 3 characters from their perspectives. There's Aisha Lanternglass, Becky and Raj, their chapters are together, and Randall Kellaway. And I did like that one. That one felt overlong to me. It's called Loaded, and it deals with guns. They all have guns, and the things they're doing with the guns and how they treat the guns and things like that. But their stories interweave, and it ends up Randall Kellaway is a mall security guard, Aisha Lanternglass is a detective, and Becky and Raj, they work in the jewelry store in the mall, and there's a shooting that happens at the mall. Like I said, I don't want to give too many details away or spoilers away, but Kellaway, the security guard, becomes the hero, and then sort of things from his past come out in the media and start to haunt him. And I'm sorry, I said Lanternglass was a detective. She's actually a newspaper reporter, not a detective. But like I said, their stories all come together, and things come out about how Kellaway's not the best guy and things like that, and the story progresses on. And that's the one with the wildfire that's encroaching on the city, which sort of was a nice ticking time bomb at the end. But I did love the way Loaded ended. It was an implied ending. Joe Hill doesn't tell you specifically what happens, but it's heavily implied what happens, and I loved how dark the ending was. I feel like most people probably won't like the ending, but myself, that's sort of what bumped it up like a few points for me, was how dark the ending was, or how dark the implied ending was. I love the ending to it. Next up is Aloft, which centers on Aubrey, and then they talk about his friend Harriet and their friend June. They're going on a skydiving trip because June has passed away from cancer, and this is sort of in her memory, honor her and things she wanted her friends to do. So they're going on a skydiving trip, and Aubrey is terrified of heights, and he sort of tries to chicken out at the end. He ends up jumping out of the plane and lands on this cloud, and gets stuck on this cloud, sort of like it's a desert island in the middle of the ocean, but he's on a cloud in the middle of the sky. And he starts to either have visions, or the mist of the cloud itself starts to, do things for him. Like it creates a bed for him and things that he just thinks of. It makes things happen for him. And he tries to, figure out how to, the mystery of the cloud itself, how it's able to hold him up. Trying to survive on the cloud, and eventually he tries, finding a way off, or a way to make the cloud go down and stuff. It did sort of have a Lovecraftian, like a Cthulhu-ish type thing, a theme to it towards the end, which I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. And I did like the ending to Aloft too. I like how it ended. And then the last story is Rain. Like the title suggests, it's about rain, but this rain isn't water falling from the sky. It is these crystalline needles that fall from the sky, and it just kills basically everyone in its path. I really like that idea. That was a really cool concept, and it focuses on the girl's name is Honeysuckle, and I don't remember if that's her real name or just her nickname. And she has a girlfriend, Yolanda, and Yolanda was coming to move in with Honeysuckle. It takes place in Boulder, Colorado. And that's when the rain hits, and the rain kills tons of people. And Honeysuckle goes on this journey to Denver to try to inform some people about the deaths that have happened. And it talks about the encounters along the way that she has. There's a cult that lived across the street from her. She calls the Comet People, and they play a role in the story. The elder of their cult is Elder Bent, and they think the world is about to end in like a few weeks. And it also deals with, like I said, the crystalline rain. And I didn't really like the explanation at the end for what the reasoning was behind what was causing the rain. I feel like that was, and like I said, I try not to say anything to spoil the story, but I felt like the reasoning behind what caused the rain to happen and things was a bit drastic for the consequences for what had happened. If you read the story, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it. But overall, I did like the story. I did like the ending to that one as well. Just not, I guess, the explanation as to what the reasoning was behind the rain. I felt like that was over dramatized, or a drastic reaction for something that had happened before that. Like I said, the rain, it ends up spreading across the whole world. Ends up killing millions of people and things like that. But that's a really cool concept, and that's a terrifying concept of if it didn't rain water anymore, if it rained nails or crystals, it's going to kill whoever's outside. It's going to kill livestock. There are animal deaths in that one. It has a picture at the beginning, if I can find it, of the cat being killed. Well, there it is. The nails going through the cat. I've seen them about all the wildlife that's going to get killed, all the crops that are going to die. That would be a devastating thing if that were to really happen. It didn't rain water anymore. If it rained crystals, what type of apocalyptic world we would be living in. But that's sort of all I want to say about the stories. I don't want to give too much away about them. I did overall, like I said, 4 stars for the book overall. I did enjoy the stories, but Snapshot was definitely my favorite one. But that's my quick review of Joe Hill's Strange Weather. Have you read this? If so, I'd like to know what you thought about it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Which was your favorite story? Which stories did you maybe not like as much? Let's talk about all that stuff down in the comments. But again, my name is Brad. Thanks for spending your time with me today, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.